So welcome to Module 3, and in this module we're going to look at securing our API. Now you might be thinking, well, it's quite early to be securing something at the moment. After all we've got in our database is just a values table that's got no information in it that's worth securing. So why do we want to lock it down at this early stage? Well, if we were to look at a requirements document for a typical dating site, for instance, it might have requirements such as a user should be able to log in, or a user should be able to register, or a user should be able to see a list of other users, or a user should be able to send a message to another user. And if there's one thing that stands out from this particular requirements document at the moment, is it's all about the user. Now, if our users are going to be interacting with our system and seeing data and storing their own data on our application, then it goes without saying that we need to secure this data, especially because they're going to be logging in with usernames and passwords. And our application, everything is about the user. It's a dating site, so everything starts with the users. And our application without any users is really just a blank application. It doesn't do anything. So it's only when we start adding users that our application has some functionality. So users register and log into the system, they browse other users, they create their profile, they add information about themselves, they add photographs, they then start messaging other users, and that's our application. So then what we're going to look at in this particular module is, first of all, we're going to look at how we store these passwords in a database. Now, it won't have escaped your attention that there's been some pretty high profile websites that have been hacked and their databases have been compromised, which means that usernames and passwords have been breached. So it's very important that whilst we do need to store passwords in the database because we need to compare with what the users typed in with what we store in the database, then we do have to keep them in there. And it's very important how we store these passwords in the database. We'll also look at creating the user model, and that means we'll be adding a new migration as well. And then we're going to take a look at the repository pattern and why we should use it. Then we're going to create the authentication controller. We'll also take a look at data transfer objects, and then we'll look at token authentication, because when a user logs in, we don't want them to have to keep logging in when they've gone away and come back within a short period of time. And then we'll also take a look at authentication middleware so that we can actually use authentication to protect our controllers and the methods inside our controllers. So we'll take a quick look at a before and after, our current situation and where we're going to get to. And this is our current situation. We can make a GET request to localhost 5000 API values. And without specifying any credentials, we can click send and retrieve all the values. And after we complete this module, we're going to protect our values so that nobody can just come in and retrieve them without being authenticated. So this is going to be protected. We're going to have a method that is going to allow people to register with our application with a username and password just now. So when we send this registers our user, and then we can use this information to actually log into our application. And then this is going to give us a token back that we can then use to log into our application and then retrieve the values. And we can log in using an authentication header or an authorization header, and we can send up our token to the server. And then when we send our request, we get the data back from the server after we've authenticated. So that's where we're going with this. So that's what we're going to achieve by the end of this module. So let's go ahead and secure our API.